Okay, Year 9. So the next lesson in Writing to Analyse is about Samuel Pepys' diary. You may have heard of Samuel Pepys, very famous diarist who was actually living during the time of the Fire of London. And our learning objective today is to be able to use quotations and evidence in your writing. Okay, so lesson 4, Samuel Pepys' diary. Let's get date, title and learning objective written down, please. Okay, so we're going to have a look at some information. It's actually quotes from Samuel Pepys' diary about what was happening during the Fire of London. Let's have a read through, just make sure everybody can see this all right. So, 2nd of September. So near the fire as we could for smoke, and all over the Thames, with one's face in the wind, you were almost burned with a shower of fire drops. As it grew darker, the fire appeared more and more and in corners, as far as we could see up the hill of the city, and a most horrid, malicious, bloody flame, not like the flame of an ordinary fire. We saw the fire as only one entire arch of fire from this to the other side of the bridge. It made me weep to see it. The churches, houses, and all on fire and flaming at once, and a horrid noise the flames made, and the cracking of houses at their ruin. We were forced to begin to pack up our own goods and prepare for their removal. 3rd of September. About 4 o'clock in the morning, my Lady Batten sent me a cart to carry away all my money and plate and best things to Sir W. Ryder's at Bednall Green, which I did, riding myself in my nightgown in the cart. At night, lay down upon a quilt of W. Hewer in the office, all my own things being packed up or gone, and after me my poor wife did the like, we having fed upon the remains of yesterday's dinner, having no fire nor dishes, nor any opportunity of dressing anything. So that's taken from Samuel Pepys' diary. We've got a couple of words at the side just to make sure you've understood what they mean. The words that are in red: malicious, meaning wanting to do harm, and plate, when he refers to carrying away all his money and plate and best things. Plate refers to the gold and silver utensils and dishes that he'd got. So obviously he was trying to gather up all of the expensive belongings that he had to make sure that they weren't ruined in the fire. Okay, so we're going to have a look now at completing some some sentences by using quotations from the diary. So let's just have a look at these. Number 1, it says, Pepys helps the readers to understand that the fire burned across the whole river when he says, so we need to pick out a quote that shows that the fire was burning across the whole river. And then it says the word arch tells the reader that. Number 2, Samuel Pepys was very upset by the fire. He writes, so we need to pick out a quote that shows that he was upset by the fire. Remember, when we're picking out quotes, we're copying the exact words, so you'll need to go back to the previous slide, have a look for a quote that shows us that he was upset by what was happening with the fire. Use that as your quote after he writes, and then this shows that, so explain in a bit more detail what it shows. And number 3, life was not easy during the Fire of London. You can tell this because Pepys writes, so we need a quote there that shows that life wasn't easy. And then finally, this makes me think that, and finish off explaining what that's helping you to see, or what that's showing you, what it makes you think about the Fire of London. Okay, so you're probably going to need maybe 15-20 minutes to have a go at these, and then we'll go through some answers. So put this on pause for the moment, give yourself as long as it takes, go back to the previous slide, have a look for the quotes that you need, and then let's try and fill those gaps. Remember to write in detail, especially when you're doing your explanations. When you've done that, you can move on and have a look at some answers. So, Pepys helps readers to understand that the fire burned across the whole river when he says, we saw the fire as only one entire arch of fire from this to the other side of the bridge. I've missed off my quotation mark after bridge, but you should have, obviously we can see the quotation mark at we at the beginning, and you should have one at the end of bridge, because they're the words that we've copied from Peeps's diary. So that quote shows us that the fire's burning across the whole river. Then we need to explain in a bit more detail about the word arch. So the word arch tells the reader that the fire had spread the whole length of the bridge and was alight, creating a vivid picture. You can picture it, can't you? The whole of the bridge being lit up by fire and creating an arch across the whole of the River Thames. Okay, so it's really quite good imagery there. We can picture that really, really clearly. Let's move on to the next one. Samuel Pepys was very upset by the fire. He writes, "It made me weep to see it." Obviously, if he's weeping, then that shows that he's upset. So that would be a good quote to use here. This shows that the sight of the fire made him so sad that he cried. Okay, so that would be absolutely fine there. You're showing an understanding of the word weep. You're showing an understanding of what he's written there. The final one. Life was not easy during the Fire of London. You can tell this because Pepys writes, "We were forced to pick up our own goods and prepare for their removal." There may well be other quotes that you've picked out there. There's quite a bit in there that shows us that life wasn't easy during the Fire of London. And then the final bit, this makes me think everyone was in a panic in case their house burned down too. Okay, so as long as you've got some sort of explanation about what it makes you think, then that's absolutely fine there. So we've done here a little bit of language analysis, but certainly lots of point, evidence, explain. So we're practicing that skill over and over again, that skill that we used in The Breadwinner, in Weep Not My Wanton, that we'll move on to use again when we do Romeo and Juliet after Christmas. Certainly we'll be using it more up until Christmas when we're looking at a poem and a film that we're going to be analysing. Okay, well done.